All right. We're back. We're going to do video number 9 right now, and we're going to see how far we can get on this little fella. We've gone a long ways towards getting him done, but we're not there yet. I'm going to switch to my pen. I notice that sometimes in those videos my drawing's hard to show up, but I'll switch to the little Sharpie that I use. We're going to find a place to put his bow tie with a couple of little lines there. We've already outlined the feet. We've got the flippers here. We've got the bow tie here that will separate it, and we've got the nose. So what we're going to do is draw that down and make sure that we are getting where we need to go. Going back to the original one, what we want to make sure is that as we carve these, we show his nose sticking out prominently. So if you'll notice, that's a point right somewhere right along this line, either here or here, where we're going to have that point. More than likely it's going to go somewhere in between, because we want to be able to give some room for it to drop down here and rise up there, and also have what looks like a pyramid, side, 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 side. So with a point out here, what we want to do is make sure we get that side. So let's work on that just a little bit, and then we'll draw in some eyes and see if we can't finish those. We'll do a little bit of cleanup after that and then see where we're at. All right, minute and 22, we got about 8 minutes to go. So let's do this. Move him off to the side. We know that we want to take out, make this slanted here and slanted here. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do that with a big knife, and I'm just going to slant cut in here. I want to make sure that it's cut in close to that line right there. You'll see that shapes that side of the penguin's beak, and we'll do the same thing over here. Hard when you switch up back and forth and upside down. It's hard to make sure that your knife cuts are coming out where they want to be, and that both planes are the same angle and the same size. But it looks like we've done an okay job on that one. Let's do the bottom one. I'm going to go at an angle there, and on the other side we're going to go at an angle there. So now we've got a rough shaped beak, but we don't have it pointed in the middle. And so what we're going to do is angle this one out here a little bit more. We're going to take a little bit more off of there and a little bit more off of there. And we'll creep up to it. We don't have to take it off all in one big fat chip, although that's okay if that's how you carve. There's nothing wrong with that. I got a friend of mine he brags about carving with 2 chips in the air at all times, and I think that is awesome for when you need it. But there's times when you just need to take your time and shape everything with 1 chip in the air at a time. 2 of them, I'm going to lose track of them. All right, shape that face. We've made a few stray cuts in there. I want to clean that up. I'm going to do the same thing right around here, around the beak. And if you'll notice, we've got these 2 sides and these bottom sides, and we've preserved that point out there. So what I'm going to do is just try to trim that down to where we have that a little bit more pointed like we want. Now, I've seen penguin beaks where they're straight out. I've seen them where they kind of curve over like that. We're just making ours whimsical, kind of caricature, cartoonish. So we can do ours any way we want and have a little bit of fun with it. I've left my line in there where I'll cut in the bottom. And so now we've got a nice little beak for this fella. So we'll spend a little bit of time looking him over, seeing where we have some stray cuts that we don't want or things that we can clean up. Got that. Here's a few right here around the bow tie. I'm just going to trim up to the face, carve those down, put in that shape of that bow tie right again. And I want to kind of trim that beak cheek down, if that's what that's called. I don't know what it is, but carve a little bit out there. We'll do the same thing over here. We'll cut in that bow tie again. Cut that in. Cut the extra pieces out there that we don't need. Kind of trim up around that beak. Okay. I think that turned out pretty good. I like it. I think it turned out okay. We're getting close to being done with this fella, if you can believe it. Because we don't have much more to do in terms of big carving parts. we're fairly close. Another thing I want to do, I'm going to go back up here to the head because we haven't really worked on this head in a while. And essentially, this guy is pretty close. All right, we want this flop over hat right here. And what we're looking at is this part right here, where his hat flops over and the ball comes off to the side. You've seen all that in a Santa Claus hat. Looks just exactly what you'd see on a Santa Claus hat, where it's flopped over that way. It's got that big ball. So we've got the ball. Now what we're going to do is separate that ball a little bit more and put that flop over. So I've drawn it in on both sides. I'll go back to my pen again. It seems to show up better. Done that on both sides. Now we're just going to carve it in. Essentially that is just a chip. It's a big fat chip and it's fairly deep because you want to create some shadows. I didn't make it real deep on this one, but it's deep enough. On this one I really want to make it deep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score that line with a stop cut. I'm going to go straight across. And as I go straight across, I'm just going to keep it fairly perpendicular with the surface of the wood. So I can tell I didn't get real deep in there. I want to do it again. And then just to be on the safe side, I want to do it one more time. And then what I want to do is undercut that. I just want to take that chip off. See it? I want to make it deeper. Cut it off. And make it deeper one more time. So now it looks like we've got an undercut there. And now we can move wood around the ball. We want to remove that wood around the ball. So as we cut around it, we'll just nibble it back. I use that word nibble because sometimes that's the best thing you can do. You don't need to take off these great big chips sometimes, although sometimes they have their purpose. On little stuff like this, it's okay to just nibble away at it and get where we need to go. That way you can see each step you take, whether you took off too much. So now I've got a spot right here I want to take off. I want to separate that ball and hat a little bit more. And give it some kind of little profile there. A little pointed on the head. We'll carve across. And then take off that real sharp top. And I think that looks pretty good. I think we did okay on that one. Okay, we're going to do the same thing over here on this side. We're going to carve around that ball with a knife. We're just going to go real deep and score that. Then we're going to carve in here once, twice, 3 times to make sure we got deep enough. And then carve up to that spot. 1, 2, 3. Got that depth in there. We'll stick our knife way down in there as deep as we can get. Make a sliver. Make another sliver. Take that out. Just deepen that shadow back in there. Okay, I'm going to switch to a more flexible knife because I want to trim around this ball. I'm just going to take a piece off one side, undercut that a little bit, take off another, trim around it, and just kind of whittle it down where I need it to go. And so this is what we did to the hat. We underscored here and underscored here so that it makes it look like the hat is flopped over. We scored around this ball on all sides. And so now we're going to go back to that flexible knife. This is my Drake flexible knife. I like it because it has a lot of flex in it. I don't know if you can see that blade. You got to be careful with the flexible blade, because if you get too heavy-handed with it, you'll be buying another blade. Tool manufacturers don't mind that. You buying another blade. Sometimes they'll even fix them for you. And it's one thing I like about Gil Drake up at Drake Knives, is if I break one, he'll fix it. If I dull it to where I can't sharpen it myself, send it to him and he'll sharpen it for you. I think they even do this Drake knives for free, $3 if it's not a Drake knife plus shipping. If you don't know how to sharpen your knives, please find somebody that's a professional or knows how to do it to show you how, or do it for you. It's well worth your money to work with sharp tools. I don't don't know how many times I've tried to work with dull tools before I really became a halfway decent hack of a carver. And I like using sharp tools. They just some kind of feeling about taking wood and feeling that sound as you cut through with a sharp knife. It just feels really, really good. If you've never done that, you don't know what this is all about, because there's that feeling of cutting wood with a sharp knife. You don't even have to be making something. I'll sit around on the porch sometimes, just whittle. Not as much as I used to. I didn't make that many things. I wasn't that good at it. Anymore, I like creating things, so I don't whittle as much as I did. But there's nothing wrong with taking a piece of wood and just sitting in a rocking chair, piddling away with it, making some shapes and making some sticks. All right, I think this fella's turning out pretty good. We've got him looking like a penguin. We've got his feet separated. We've got his fins separated. We've got his bow tie separated. We've got a lot of cleanup, so I'm going to pause here a minute. It's been 11 minutes on this video. We'll pause and we'll clean up some stuff, and I'll come back. The cleanup I'm going to do is little things like these little gouges back in here. You surely know how to do that. Take your knife and clean up. What I'm going to do is use a flexible knife to get in there, and I'll take care of all those little stray cuts, and then we'll come back and we'll see if we can't finish this thing up in the next video. It might take us 2 or 3, but you know what? We're having fun along the way. I'm hoping you're having fun. I'm enjoying this. It's my first time really doing a lot of instructional videos, and I want to be able to give back to those who have furthered for me and helped me out along the way, and show others how to do that. And there I go, blowing on my carbons again. All right. Anyway, we're going to clean this up, and we'll come back and finish it up next time.